My name is Margaret Collins, and I turned 75 years old on a Sunday in late October. That day was supposed to be about love, about my family, about gratitude, about everything I'd done to raise them. Instead, it became the day I finally woke up. The morning sun fell gently across my small kitchen table. A single candle flickered beside a half-eaten piece of toast. I had dressed carefully: navy blue dress, pearl earrings, and a silk scarf that once belonged to my mother. At 75, I still took pride in looking presentable. That day, I expected my children, Eric and Laura, to pick me up for lunch. We had celebrated every birthday together since they were born, or at least, we used to. By 11 a.m., my phone hadn't rung. No happy birthday mom message, no call, no text, nothing. I waited until noon before calling my daughter. "Laura," I said cheerfully when she answered, "just checking what time you'll be here." There was a pause, too long to be casual. "Oh, right, Mom, about that," she said, her voice suddenly tight. "We've actually been so busy, but Eric's doing something for you tonight, a little surprise dinner." A surprise. I smiled through the phone, even though my stomach felt heavy. "Oh, how wonderful," I said softly. "What time should I come?" "6. Dress nice, Mom. You deserve it." At 6 sharp, I stood in front of Eric's large suburban house, the same one I had helped him buy 15 years ago by giving him half my retirement savings for the down payment. It looked grand. Double garage, trimmed hedges, warm lights spilling through the windows. I rang the bell, holding a small cake I'd baked myself, topped with strawberries. "Mom," Eric said when he opened the door, grinning. But his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Come in. Everyone's waiting." I stepped inside and instantly felt something off. There were a lot of people. Eric's friends, his wife's relatives, and even some people I didn't recognize. It didn't feel like my birthday. It felt like a party I'd crashed. "Happy birthday, Grandma!" my granddaughter Lily shouted, running to hug me. Her small arms around my waist made the world feel soft again. "Thank you, sweetheart," I whispered, kissing her hair. Dinner was already set. The long table was covered with candles and wine glasses, and a giant cake that wasn't the one I'd brought. My own cake had been quietly taken from my hands and placed on a side counter like an afterthought. Eric raised his glass. "To my wonderful mother, 75 years old today." People clapped. I smiled politely. Then Laura added, "We even made something special for you, Mom. You'll love it." She handed me a gift box wrapped in gold paper. Everyone stared, waiting for me to open it. I felt suddenly nervous, like a performer about to step on stage. Inside was a photo album. Old family pictures filled the first few pages. Me holding baby Eric, Laura at her first piano recital, family Christmases long gone. Then, halfway through, the pictures changed. Someone had written captions under them. A photo of me dozing off on the couch, captioned, "Grandma taking her usual nap instead of helping." A photo of my cluttered living room, captioned, "Where the smell of old lives." A blurry photo of me holding groceries, captioned, "Still thinks she can do everything herself." Laughter started to ripple around the table. Eric chuckled. "It's just a little family joke, Mom. You know, humor keeps us young." My hands trembled as I turned another page. There was a fake certificate glued inside. Awarded to Margaret Collins for outstanding achievement in being a burden. The laughter grew louder and louder. Even my grandchildren were giggling, confused but mimicking the adults. I stared at that paper until the words blurred through my tears. I slowly closed the album and placed it on the table. No one noticed the silence that followed. except me. I stood up. My voice was calm, too calm. I said, "Thank you all. This was memorable." Then I turned and walked out. That night, back home in my small living room, I cried harder than I had in years. Not just because of the humiliation, but because I realized something simple and devastating. I had built these people, and they no longer saw me as human. But tears don't last forever. When they dried, something colder took their place. Clarity. It was time for them to remember who Margaret Collins really was. At midnight, I pulled out an old wooden box from my bedroom closet. Inside were bank documents, property deeds, and letters I hadn't touched in years. For decades, I had lived modestly, letting everyone think I was just a poor widow surviving on Social Security. They didn't know that my late husband, Harold, had owned 3 rental houses under my name. They didn't know that I had quietly invested the insurance money after his death in municipal bonds worth over $600,000. They didn't know that every loan I'd given them came from interest alone. They thought I was weak. They thought I was disposable. But they were about to learn the price of forgetting the hand that fed them. The next morning, I dressed in my best beige coat and went to the law office of Mr. Peterson, my longtime attorney. "Margaret," he said warmly, "what brings you in so early?" "I'm here to rewrite my will." Completely. 2 hours later, it was done. I left nothing to Eric or Laura. Every cent, every property, every bond was to be transferred to the Sunrise Foundation for Elderly Women, a charity I'd once volunteered for. I also added a clause, a sealed letter to be delivered to both my children 1 month after my passing. But I wasn't planning to die soon. No, they would face their reckoning while I was still very much alive. 3 weeks passed before they called me again. Eric's voice was casual, too casual. "Hey, Mom, sorry we haven't been by. Things have been crazy." "Oh, I understand," I said sweetly. By the way, I had some financial news, big changes. That got his attention. "Oh, what kind of changes?" "Oh, just something about the properties," I said vaguely. "But don't worry, everything's being taken care of." That weekend, both of them came over together for the first time in months. They arrived smiling, the kind of smiles people wear when they think there's money to discuss. I made tea, calm as a lake. When they sat, I handed each the envelope. "What's this?" Laura asked. "Letters," I said. "You'll understand when you read them." They tore them open, and inside was a copy of my new will and a note in my handwriting. "Thank you for the birthday gift. You have taught me that love must never be blind. My legacy now belongs to those who truly value kindness. Goodbye. Not forever, but until you learn what family means." Laura's face went pale. "Mom, what is this?" she gasped. "It's clarity," I said softly. "Something I should have found years ago." Eric stood up, angry. "You can't be serious, after everything we've done for you." I laughed quietly. "Everything you've done for me?" I repeated. "Let me remind you, that house you live in, paid for by me. That college tuition, me again. That car your wife drives, guess who? And yet, on my 75th birthday, you gave me a certificate for being a burden." The silence that followed was sharp as glass. I stood up and opened the front door. "You should go. I have things to do." The following week, word spread quickly. A local newspaper ran an article. "Elderly woman donates entire estate to charity supporting abandoned seniors." There was my photo, smiling, graceful, free. My children called dozens of times. I didn't answer. I sold my house, packed my few belongings, and moved into a small seaside apartment in Maine. quiet, peaceful, surrounded by others who knew the same kind of pain. Every evening, I sat on my balcony, sipping tea, watching the ocean. I had no regrets, only peace. One morning, I received a letter from Lily, my granddaughter. She had written it herself. "Grandma, I'm sorry for what happened. I miss you. Can I visit you someday?" I smiled, tears filling my eyes. There it was, a small seed of hope. The next generation still had heart. I wrote back immediately. "Of course you can, my dear. My door will always be open to love." That night, I lit a candle beside the photo of my husband. "Harold, I finally did it. I finally stopped letting them walk all over me." The wind outside howled softly.